Well, leading us off tonight, national security reporter for the Wall Street Journal, Alex Ward. Also the founder and executive director of the National Security Institute, Jamil Jaffer. He was actually the lead architect of the Iran Nuclear Agreement Review Act. And we have senior fellow at the Washington Institute and curator of the Iranist on Substack, Holly Dagres. Good to have both of you, all of you actually here, all three of you. I'll begin with you here, Jamil, because the president believes that the 60-day limit, the War Powers Resolution, totally unconstitutional. Your perspective?
Well, look, every president to have operated under the War Powers Resolution has said that its constitutionality is questionable. They've operated consistent with it, but not pursuant to it. So it's not unusual for a president to say that and to act in a way that might be at times in tension with it. We saw President Obama in Libya. We saw his State Department legal advisor, Harold Koh, go to Congress and say that the 7, 8, 9-month conflict that we were in wasn't hostilities because they weren't shooting back. We saw it happen in Somalia. We've seen it in Kosovo. So we've seen a number of times where presidents have gone past that 60-day deadline and come up with interesting theories about why it didn't violate the War Powers Resolution. The latest one is apparently it's like a chess clock. You hit the button, we're on a ceasefire, the clock has stopped. But it's not that long a pause, so, we'll see.
Somebody find Bobby Fischer then. Alex, that's a chess reference. I'm smart. Anyway, Alex, the president appears to be totally unimpressed by the latest offer from Iran. And he's now saying maybe we're better off not making a deal. Know anything about this?
We've been here before. Last year, as the president wanted to make a deal over Iran's nuclear work, he tried to make there was a negotiation. Trump didn't like what he was hearing. They bombed 3 Iranian nuclear sites. Then earlier this year, Trump again, another nuclear negotiation, didn't like what he was seeing from the Iranians, started this war. Now we have the ceasefire, and here we are again, another negotiation. Trump doesn't like what he's hearing, and is now saying quite openly, well, it's deal or war. Sounds like deal doesn't look likely, therefore there's only one other option in his mind. And this is Trump's playbook. He's like, if you mentioned Bobby Fischer, well, my reference won't be as smart. Mine is the movie Knocked Up. So there's you
win. I love it.
Did not have that on the video.
So there's that scene where Seth Rogen is dancing with Katherine Heigl, and he's doing a dice move on the dance floor, and his friends go, he's only got one move. That's his move. When it comes to this situation, if the deal doesn't work, Trump has only got one with Iran, and that's bombing. So I think that might be coming. I don't know when, but I think that might be coming.
I'm sorry you have to follow that, because actually I'm done with the whole segment now after that. I love it. But you're actually right about this. And Holly, the president continues to blame dysfunction within the new regime for not reaching a peace deal. Like, where does the buck really stop has been the go-to. But how much are they to blame in terms of the inability to reach a deal? And why would Iran make this offer when they know the red line is keeping nuclear material?
Well, I think it's a couple of things there. I think we've seen the Iranians do this before, where they're playing games, or we've seen that there's these different factions, the hardliners or the reformists, and there's been infighting equivalent to the Dems and Republicans here in the United States. But I think that the war itself has complicated matters. We've got the supreme leader that I joke probably is going to come out looking like Darth Vader at the end of this, because he's from our understanding of reports, he's not looking so well. But just like unpacking it a step further, I think the issue is that the Trump administration doesn't understand the Islamic Republic, that this is an ideological regime. We've seen Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei come out this week and double down and say that they're not going to give up their nuclear program or their ballistic missiles, and we've known this for a long time. And it's really, especially ballistic missiles, have been their red line, because they learned from the Iran-Iraq war this is the only way that they can defend themselves. And of course, now having had 2 wars, there's this understanding that having this option of going all the way with their nuclear program, granted in the situation it's in, that I think there's growing voices, especially from hardliners, that they should develop a nuclear weapon to make sure that this doesn't happen again.
So given what she's described, I mean, the idea that the president is threatening to blast the hell out of them, that's his words, if there's no deal. I mean, you had Iranians who spoke to CNN that are saying that they are bracing for strikes to come and expecting it. Can Iranians endure another round?
Well, look, I think the regime is going to have a hard time. I think Alex is right that there's a real possibility that the velocity of this conflict, substantially skyrockets going forward. I mean, there is a real possibility that over the weekend we'll see the president start bombing again. But let's be candid here. Why would he start bombing? It's simple. The ceasefire is premised on a simple concept. We stop bombing you, you open the strait. The strait has been open for 4 weeks that we have been bombing. So look, the Iranians, if the bombing does start again, It's because of their behavior and their activity and their failure to uphold their part of the bargain. Now, the problem for the president is you start bombing again, gas prices are high now, they're going to go higher and higher and higher. The better play is probably try to reopen the straits by escorting ships through and daring the Iranians to come after us, and then if they hit us, now you've got a reason to hit back.
We're asking about the Iranians can endure, but what about the reporting that the recent assessment suggests that there is not the stockpile that is necessary from the United States perspective to maintain what's going on? I mean, there are assessments that say that 50% or more of key missiles have been depleted. I mean, what is the replacement timeline for that? And frankly, does that jeopardize the United States' ability to defend itself in other contexts if need be?
Well, that is the fear. So it could take a lot of years. I mean, the general estimates are about 2 to 6 years or so for
Really?
to fully replace everything that's been spent. Now, a war with China, which is what most people are worried about in this context, would require a lot of standoff missiles. It would require a lot of the munitions that have been used, but it would be a vastly different war.
In what way?
Well, I mean, it's more maritime. It's a much bigger adversary. China has nuclear weapons. Mm-hmm. It's a whole other ballgame. But the general belief of this administration coming in was, and there were many people that were saying this at the Pentagon, there was during the Ukraine debate, the U.S. can't send weapons to Ukraine because we have to husband those resources for a war with China. And then they've been sent to fight the Houthis last year. They've now been sent in this war. And now there's questions about, okay, well, if the defense industrial base can't make all these weapons in a fast enough time period, then why use them in these areas if the main goal was China? So the administration's own strategic picture that they came in with is no longer the strategic picture that they're following because there are now deficits to fight China. I mean, when the assessments the reporting we've done, the general math works out to, well, it would be harder to fight China. Not hard, but harder to fight China based on the current inventory.
You heard from Secretary Hegseth just the other day where he thought it was the defeatist attitudes of Democrats that are really the biggest adversary of the United States in this moment. The president is considering anyone, as you know, who says the U.S. is not winning the war with Iran outright treasonous. What's the impact if there is no room for dissent?
Look, I mean, there has to be room for dissent. That's literally the entire premise of the country that we live in. The entire premise of the First Amendment, the entire premise of having TV news shows just like this one. But the fact of the matter is that if we are winning, on what metric, right? The president said we're going to have the Iranian people rise up. Hasn't happened. We're going to destroy their armed forces. Apparently, they're not destroyed enough to allow ships to go straight up Hormuz. We're going to take away their ability to have nuclear weapons. Well, somebody forgot about the 440 kilograms of 60% enriched uranium that's still there. We're going to take their ability away to support Hezbollah, Hamas, and Palestinian Islamic Jihad. Last time I checked, Hezbollah is fighting Israel right now. So if we're winning, I'm not sure what metric we're winning on. We have taken out a significant part of their military, but it's not winning until you achieve a goal you set out. Mm-hmm. Well, which of the goals that we've set out have we met today?
What's Iran's metric?
Well, I think for starters, their metric is the fact that they've survived yet another war is in itself a win. I think that they've also won the narrative war. They've won it through their very popular Lego AI videos, their Iranian embassy accounts that are posting memes and making fun of the Trump administration in this moment. And through that, they've won the global South. And anyone that's anti-Trump or anti-war in this moment is sharing those and laughing about that. And so they've really managed to win it in a different way. And the fact that they've been able to close the Strait of Hormuz, granted they're now in a blockade moment, but there's a strangle on the world economy because they started this. So I think there's measures of wins for them. And to Jamil's point, like their proxies are still functioning, and there's a lot more to it.
Thank you all. We'll see what happens in likely the near future.